Hi everyone, welcome to the live. I'm just going to go through the comments and then, give everyone just a few minutes and then we can get started. So let me know how you're feeling about Thursday. Can imagine that some of you are feeling quite nervous. I would be too if I were you. Just in time preparing for Thursday. It's kind of what I was trying to get at. I was trying to get this out. Good luck, guys. I think that's awesome. Long day. Yeah, hope you're prepared for a long session as well. Informative session. So let me know if anyone has questions. Pop them in. I will check the chat as I go. So just wanted to say welcome to everyone. And give it a few minutes before we get started. Okay, don't want to wait too long. So if you guys are ready, then we can get started in the meantime. So just let me know if you are A-okay and ready to go. Please don't be shy with your messages and your comments. And yes, I would advise that you get a notebook and pen out as well. It's definitely helpful. So let me share my screen. Okay, just share my slides. Okay. So today we're going to go through the November 2024 paper for paper 1. And then, yes, I have noted when you guys are writing paper 2, and I want to get that video up in time as well before you write. Okay, so business as usual. Here's your paper. It says paper 1, November 2024, 2 hours, 150 marks. Like I've mentioned, if you watch my previous videos, very important. Section A is compulsory. Section B, please only answer 2 of the 3 questions. And then section C, please only answer 1 of the 2 questions. And please note your time allocation. I know you guys get stressed and you just want to start and you just want to flip through that. But what I would advise is write next to here the times. When you start, and in 20 minutes time, you should be done with section A. Then check the time here. It's going to be check here that you are done in time and whatnot. And please make sure that you label your questions correctly. Okay, without further ado, let's move to section A. All right, so section A says, this act prevents discrimination on the grounds of race, gender, and disability within the workplace. So immediately, we are talking about race, gender, and disability. Okay, so Consumer Protection Act, most likely not. Why? Because what does the Consumer Protection Act deal with? It deals with protecting the consumer, having the right to information about a product. Okay, Employment Equity, I'm going to park that one there. And then Basic Conditions of Employment Act, sure, it does talk about discrimination and race when it comes to positions. But remember, there's a distinct difference between these two. This one, we're dealing with equity. So I always break up the word equity and it means equal. So keeping everything equal on the grounds of race, gender, and disability. And then Labor Relations Act, there we're just dealing with labor as a whole and all the dealings and the collective bargaining and disputes between an employee and employer. So going through it, we would know that the answer is B, because we're dealing with employment equity, trying to keep everything equal within the workplace. All right. Then we have Niemand Traders is experiencing high employee turnover. This is classified as A or an in the SWOT analysis. So now, okay, breaking that down, if we're looking within the SWOT analysis, and I know I'm going a little bit back to grade 10 here for a second, We know that strength and weakness is within the business. We can control that. An opportunity and threat is outside of the business. Then obviously strength is a good thing and weakness is a bad thing. Opportunity is a good thing and threat is a bad thing. So if we're experiencing a high employee turnover, it means that a lot of employees are leaving our business. Okay. And that is definitely seen as a weakness because that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing in the terms of if people are not staying in my business, there could be something wrong in my business. I mean, sure, people do get opportunities and they move on, but why is the employee turnover so high? Why don't people want to stay in my business, which is a weakness? Can I control that? Yes. I can try and fix things with my SWOT analysis and trying to see why are people leaving the business. And if anyone is familiar, we can do that through an exit interview. So I'm not sure if we don't really deal with that in the grade 12 context, but we can do that with an exit interview, meaning we're going to sit with the HR and we're going to tell them what didn't work, what worked well, why are we leaving the company. Not every company does that, but trust me, it's really helpful if companies do actually do an exit interview. Okay, moving on swiftly. Mabasa Enterprise has how much control over suppliers who increase the prices of their products. Okay, if we're talking suppliers, we go back again, grade 10 and grade 11. Suppliers is in the market environment. How much control do we have in the market environment? We have little, we have less, we have partial, whatever word you would prefer. So the answer is going to be limited. Remember, in micro, we have full, and in macro, we have none whatsoever. All right, then moving on. The role of an interviewee during the interview is to, okay, remember now we break it down. The role of an interviewee, if we're saying it's an interviewee, it is the person in the interview. Okay, it is you guys after grade 12 going for a job interview. You will then be the interviewee. Remember that the interviewer is the company. Okay, I hope we're learning something. Let me know if you guys are enjoying it, if we're learning something so far. So, make the interviewer feel at ease. Explain the purpose of the interview to the panel. Prepare responses for possible questions. Ask clarity-seeking questions about the position. Okay, now, if you've gone through your notes, you would see that there is a mistake here. This is meant to be the role of the interviewer is to make you feel at ease and comfortable. The interviewer is going to explain why we are here and why we're interviewing you, right? I'm not going to be explaining to the panel why you're interviewing me. It sounds a bit silly. Okay. And then we can come down to the last two, and the answer is going to be ask clarity-seeking questions about the position, because we know we need to prepare sponsors for possible questions. Okay. That one is the one that was going to throw you off, but it's more clarity-seeking questions. So if they say to you, are you aware that you will have to work overtime and during the festive season? Then you can ask them, please just elaborate. What do you mean by overtime? Do you mean every day, but over? Will I be working like from 6 to 9? Or will I be working Saturdays or Sundays? So asking clarity-seeking questions about the position. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. I just want to finish with this little section. Businesses utilize machinery and equipment ultimately in the what function? We have purchasing, production, marketing, and administration. So we are utilizing machinery and equipment. So we are making use of machinery and equipment, which is going to be, I'm going to take a guess here. It is production, and I am correct. Okay, because we're not going to use machinery in purchasing, unless we're purchasing machinery, but we are utilizing. We're not saying we're buying it, we are using it. Marketing, no. And admin, also, we're not going to be using the machinery and equipment. Okay. And again, remember, I don't want to be a broken record, but each of these is 2 marks. 2 marks for each of them. I've seen it in the past. Please don't write the full wording out. We don't need that. We need A, B, C, or D for each of those. Right, before we get to this, let's just go back to the comments. Yeah, I've discussed predictions about papers in the past. I cannot predict it, so I'm going to be honest and upfront there. I cannot predict it, and if anything, it would be unethical. Professional and ethics, it would be unethical if I had to predict it, because I'm not working for the department and I am not in those high positions, so I have no idea what the essay is going to be. It could be something that they chose in previous years. Okay, they could question that again. Or it could also be a case of they see that one particular chapter was asked as an essay for the last 3 years, or whatever the case is, and now they want to ask something different. So predictions are never a good thing, and yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not here for that. Just to be completely honest, I would be too scared to try and give you a prediction and then I'm incorrect. Can you also do an IEB paper? I will definitely look at doing that. Please just put in there when you are writing, just so that I know when to do the video. I will then need to go, research. I know most of my videos are on caps, so I need to go and find a past paper, and I will need to do the same slides as what I'm doing right now, which is a lot of work. I explained in my grade 11 video that it took me 3 hours to do the slides, because you see all the animations. So it takes a little bit of time. You're writing Friday. No promises, but let me see what I can do. Okay, would you also like me to go live for that one as well? Just let me know. And then without further ado, I'm going to do question 1.2. The what has the right to embark on legal strikes as a remedy for grievances? Okay, the what, okay, we could think of who, right? So again, when we are dealing with this section here, there are 10 possible answers and 5 questions, sorry. So for every question, there are 2 possible answers. Okay, if you've watched my videos before, I call them buddies. I don't know if they want to be buddies, but they're buddies now, I've decided. And the one is the correct buddy and the one is the incorrect buddy. Like when you have friends, sometimes your friend's not always right, or they steer you in the wrong direction. These are these type of buddies. Okay, the one is right and the one is very clearly wrong. So if we look quickly, employer and employee, those 2 are buddies. Secondary and tertiary are partners. Placement, selection, forward vertical, backward vertical, and then plan and act would be the last 2 that are buddies. So the what has the right? Okay, it's going to be the employee. Okay, I don't see a situation where the employer strikes. If I'm wrong, then correct me if I'm wrong, but never ever. So it would be employee, and I'm just going to cross my 2 buddies out. And if you want to do that for your paper on Thursday, I would suggest that might be a good idea, right? Just make sure with your examiners, if you are allowed to cross out in the question paper, I'm just putting it out there. Then Sizwe Bakery applied the what integration strategy when they bought a wheat farm? So integration, already there we know. We're talking about the macro strategies. It's either going to be forward vertical or backward vertical. Okay, so when we think about it, Sizwe Bakery is sitting here. Okay, I'm going to do it in this format. Just see that I'm doing this correctly, right? We're obviously going to have the one above, the farm. Okay, whatever business we're doing, the farm, the business, and then the consumer, right? It works in a line. So if I am buying, what are we doing? We are buying a wheat farm. So if I'm here and I'm buying up top here, I am going backwards, right? Would you agree with me there? So if I'm here with my business and my wheat farm is on top of me, I'm going backwards. Therefore, it is backward vertical. Vertical because we're going in a straight line from top to bottom. And then I'm going to cross out my friends again. Okay, Faisal Hairdressing Salon operates in the what sector, as they specialize in selling of hair products. Okay, sectors, it's either going to be primary, secondary, or tertiary. So if they are a salon, it means that we are already selling to the customer. And if we move a little bit back, hairdressing is a service, and services are only found in the tertiary sector. So it's going to be tertiary. And we're going to cross out as friends again. The employee's qualifications and skills, HR, are matched with the requirements of the job during the what procedure? So our options are selection or placement. So let's just go through that for just a second or two. So we are matching qualifications and skills with the job. Okay. So now, is it more of a placement or a selection type of procedure? I see I'm getting lots of hundreds. Thank you for that. I just saw that pop up now. I appreciate that. You can continue with your hundreds. That's perfect. Love it. Anybody with an answer there? I don't want to be teaching alone. While you think about that answer, I'm going to read the comments. Where was I? Okay, Friday. What is the best way to study for business? Okay, my advice would be to study 4 headings under every single section that you have. That's going to help you for the essay. That's going to help you during section B. So I would say study 4 bullets under every heading. And I explained this in a previous video, so I didn't make it for today's live. But please go to the video where I explain paper 1 and paper 2, and I explain that in paper 1 we have business environments and business operations and the chapters thereof. So if you're going to do, I don't want to confuse you guys. If you're going to do questions 3 and questions 4 and question 6, it is either going to be HR or quality of performance. And then obviously the other side, we have a lot more. We have I'm just trying to recite it in my brain now for a second. So we have all the legislation. So there are 8 acts. I know that's often daunting to the learners. There's macro, there's management and leadership, and I might be missing 1 or 2 buddies there. So that would be my best advice. Go through past papers, find keywords, join the live today. I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks as we go, more so for section B. Okay, hi ma'am. Hi, welcome. Thank you, and please do a live. I will try my best. Okay, I will definitely try my best. I don't want to make open promises. I've been asked, I think it was about 2-3 years ago, to go live, and this is the first time I'm doing it. It was very daunting. So I went live last week Thursday for the first time, and I realized it's not as bad as what the papers make out to seem. So I will try my best. I do work full time, so yeah, it's a little bit daunting at times to get all the stuff done. I think the essay will be quality of performance or HR. If you are doing question 6, yes, because according to the table. I know this is for grade 12, but when is the grade 11 chapter 19 coming out for paper 2, team dynamics and conflict management? Okay. Gotta love my subscribers, right? I have no other comment there. I will try my best to. I don't think it's part of the curriculum anymore. So please just go double check with your teacher. When I went to go look for notes on it, I couldn't find it. When are you writing paper 2? And yeah, I did go live for paper 1 for the grade 11s, and I have done HR for the grade 11s. Grade 12s, I know I'm a little bit behind with your content. I will catch up next year. So apologies for that. Okay, I don't want to take too long. Last comment. Thank you, someone. I appreciate that. Okay, I really do. Righty, where are we? So you're saying selection because they are still checking the requirements and qualifications. Okay, I like that. I'm writing paper 2 tomorrow. I'm wishing you all the very best of luck for that. I want to go live for the grade 11s as well, but yeah, just give me time. I'm going live for grade 12 right now. So one thing at a time. All right, moving on. Spend too much time there in the comments, so we're moving on. Okay, so the answer is going to be placement. Why? Because during selection, okay, is when, remember, selection, and I know these two confuse learners all the time. Selection is when, look at it like this. Recruitment is when we're sending out the advert and you're applying to it and you get to see that this job has a vacancy, okay? During selection is when I select who is coming for an interview, right? So I've got all my CVs I do my shortlist and I select who I'm going to interview. And then from that, I'm then going to place the person. In a previous video, I used an example when I worked at a college. I was actually interviewed in a sales position, and then, which is in the selection procedure. Okay. And then I got a callback, I guess, for a student support position. So then when I got that position, they then placed me into student support. So in selection, I went for a sales position, but I actually got placed into a student support role. If that maybe helps and maybe makes a little bit more sense. And then we're going to cross out its buddies. So now we have act and plan last. Monwa, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Plastics continuously revises their processes to improve the quality of their products. We can see what chapter that is. This is known as the what step in the PDCA model. So we are revising our processes, which means, are we doing planning right now? No, we are not planning. We are looking at our procedures that will improve. Therefore, we are acting on our plan. Okay, I really hope with my backwards and forwards I don't confuse you guys. And then I'm going to cross those two out because those are not the correct answer. Okay, again, 2 marks here each for them. Just write 1.2.1 employee, 1.2.2 backward vertical, and you're good to go. Okay, moving right along. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Keep hydrated. Water is necessary. I say water, but that's actually juice. So we have learnership. Okay, so before we get into this, okay, let's just take a step back. See, sometimes with live, I feel you guys get to see a bit of my personality because I would make these mistakes while recording, but I would edit them out. I would then start that section over and edit it out, but now you're seeing it in its all live glory. So if you look at these, it's the same buddy system. We have 5 questions, 10 possible answers, meaning for every correct buddy, there is an incorrect buddy. Okay, so if you look here, and I'm not saying this is all the time, but if you look here, you'll see they all start with the same word as the buddies. So process of finding potential candidates for available vacancies. Process, if we look for another process, it's the process of determining a candidate's suitability for the position. I'm going to do a few more. Large businesses may prevent effective training due to poor communication. We go look for another large business. Large businesses can afford to put systems in place to prevent defects in products. Ensures that the features, and if we look down, ensures that finished product. Are you with me? Practical training, practical training. Okay, and that is all of them covered. Okay, so if you see, that makes it easier because now you're not looking at 10 different options, you're potentially looking at 2, and you need to look at keywords. So when we're talking learnerships, we are potentially talking SDA, and we are talking about grants, we're talking about skills, anything of that sort. So just give me a second to go through this for a second. So it's going to be either practical training opportunities, right? Ongoing professional development, or who is its buddy? Practical training is practical training. Practical training opportunities that lead to recognized qualifications. So do you see where I picked out, if we're doing a learnership, we're doing some form of training, which leads to like a professional development. Now we need to decide which one is the correct answer. So this one is leading to a recognized qualification, and this one is ongoing professional development. If we know anything about a learnership, we know that when we are done with that learnership, we are going to get a qualification out of it, meaning the correct answer is E, because we are getting a recognized qualification when we are done with this. And then I'm going to cross both of them out. Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Amendment Act. Here we're talking anything about getting sick, getting injured, passing away, on the job and getting compensation thereof. So let's try and see which two those fall into. Okay, just give it a second. Okay, I'm seeing finished products and standards. That goes with quality control immediately. Okay. And then here we go. Provides protection to employees who become disabled due to a workplace accident. Let's find its buddy. Provides prevention to employees who are unfairly dismissed in the workplace. I think that one is quite clear of what is the correct answer. Because here, again, if we are putting this act in place, we are protecting our employees when they become disabled due to a workplace accident. So the answer is going to be D. And we're going to cross those two options out. Are we learning something? Is this helpful? Please just let me know. Smash the heart button, smash there's a couple there. There's a confetti. You can smash a shocked face if you really want to. I mean, anything goes nowadays. Okay, please don't be shy in the comments. You're here to learn. So if you have questions, please do ask them. If you say, ma'am, I disagree, I don't know why it is that option, let me know and I'll go back to it. Okay. Recruitment. Here we're talking about, again, I'm trying to say it without reading from there. We are basically trying to find someone suitable to fill a job position in our company. So we see that there's a vacancy and we need someone to fill it. So we're going to put out our posters and our ads. So it's a process of finding potential candidates for available vacancies. Or its friend says, process of determining a candidate's suitability for the position. If we learned anything from the previous set of questions, we would know that selection, right, is more about a candidate's suitability, well, more placements, right? Here we are literally just looking for someone. So it's going to be A, and we're going to cross out the two friends. Then quality control, this one I sort of figured Nana. Just give me a sec to find it. Ensures that finished products meet the required standards, or its buddy says ensure that features of goods satisfy a specific need. Come on, guys. I think that one speaks for itself. That one speaks volumes. I mean, if we're talking about a specific need, we're talking about needs and wants of a customer. We're talking about customer preferences. And we are talking about what is the requirement? How can we control quality with our finished product? Remembering quality control, we check in the quality at the end of production. Once we have made the product, this is our product. Once we have finished this product, now we check for quality. Whereas quality assurance is checking it while we are busy making it and doing the process. So the answer will be J. And we're going to cross out its buddies. Then we have two options left. Adequate financing and capacity. Large businesses may prevent effective training due to poor communication, or large businesses can afford to put systems in place to prevent defects in products. So here we're talking about effective training due to poor communication. That doesn't have anything to do about whether we have enough financing and capacity. We're talking about affording. There's your keyword. If I have the finance, it means I can afford to put the systems in place. So your answer is I. And we're going to cross out the buddies. Okay, where are we? You are writing paper 2 tomorrow. Wishing you all the very, very, very best of luck. Sorry about that. Thank you, ma'am, for all the videos. They're much appreciated. It's only a pleasure. You are most welcome. It's helpful, ma'am. I'm very, very glad to hear that. I'm very, very happy that my videos do help and the impact it's making. When I started this 5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that it would have made such an impact, but it's really heartwarming, and I've got comments to respond to of a week ago. So wish me luck with getting to that. Right, then we're moving to section B. Okay, we're going to start with question 2. Now, remember, it's only my advice. You can take it, you don't have to take it. It's only merely my advice. Okay. Sorry, my dog is very happy and just, yeah, she's very happy and rolling on the floor. I apologize if she is making a noise. So with section B, you have 3 questions. So now, question 2 is on your business environment, your legislation, your management and leadership, your macro strategies, and I might be missing one. Then we have question 3, that is quality of performance and HR. And then question 4 is half and half. So my advice would be either do, if you're going to do business environments, then do question 4 as well. So question 2 and question 4 if you're doing business environments. If you want to do business operations, which is quality and HR, then do 3 and 4. The reason why I say that is business environment on those chapters is 40 marks. Then in question 4, business environment is 20 marks and business operations is 20 marks. If you're going to do question 2, you're going to have 40 marks. And if you're going to do on business environments, question 3, business operations, is also going to be 40 marks. So just try and look at that, and that can maybe help you to study and put more focus into one versus the other. And once again, I have to give the disclaimer, I'm not telling you to disregard and not study the one at all. That is not what I'm saying in any way, shape, or form. It seems like we're doing well on timing because according to our table, we should have finished section A in 30 minutes. So not that timing is what I'm going at for this live, but if that's what we're going for. All right, so then I've snipped all of them to make it a bit easier. So name any 2 types of diversification strategies. Because they have given a numerical figure of how many we must name, it means I'm marking your first 2 only. Please don't make that mistake. I know you might not know it afterwards or beforehand, but you're going to really, really be regretful if you're going to give 4 answers. The first one and the third one are correct, right? Oh, fingers. This one is incorrect. I mark your first 2, which means you lose the marks for those 2. Please make sure your correct answers are in the first 2 only. Okay, so you could have either written there concentric, horizontal, or conglomerate. There's a note in the marking guidelines saying mark the first 2 only. Please make sure, and I'm going to highlight that as important. Right, then moving on. Outline the advantages of intensive strategies. 6 marks. Therefore, we are doing 3 bullets. Why? 2 marks per bullet. And I've given you 3 bullets there. Okay, so businesses can have more control over their prices and services. Why can they have more control? Because if there's a decrease in price, this could influence customers to buy more. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. If the prices decrease or there's a sale, you have a tendency to want to buy more. And then because of this, we have regular sales to existing customers may increase. So what I've tried to do with these answers is I've tried to show you that I can work in a story. Okay, bear with me. If the price increases, this will influence consumers to buy more. Because they are buying more, we have regular sales, which may increase. Why is it increasing? Because we have more control over our prices with intensive strategies. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you guys can see the correlation between the 3 bullets and how you can sort of make it like a story. Then moving on. 2.3 is our wonderful scenario. So I like to read the question first so I know what I'm looking for within the table. Name the pestle factor that is applicable to MM in the scenario above. So does it say we are motivating? No, we are only naming the pestle factor for 2 marks. Mondo manufacturers specialize in the production of winter blankets. MM disposes of their chemical waste from the manufacturing process into the local rivers in order to save cost. Well, that is really the wrong thing to do, but businesses are businesses. So if we are disposing chemical waste We are affecting the E, the one E, the environment, and environmental for 2 marks. Then we continue to say, recommend ways in which MM can deal with the challenges posed by pestle factor named in the previous question. So if you named this pestle factor incorrectly and you're now going to show the ways, you're going to lose the marks for both. Okay, so we need to recommend ways that we can deal with the one mentioned here, which is environmental. How can we deal with that? We can engage in environmentally sustainable practices, such as not disposing the chemical waste in the river, right? You see why I use that as an example? Sustainable practices, such as conservation or preservation of natural resources. We need to dispose of this the proper way. Then secondly, the business implements cost-effective measures in order to dispose of waste. Now, before you think, but ma'am, that sounds like your own words. This is from the marking guidelines itself. But when I tell learners, you need to try and see it as a story. Why did I pick these two specifically? Is because they link into the example. It's easier to remember. If you think environmental, you think keeping the environment clean. Another example there was recycling. That was also within one of them. I chose to dispose of waste in a cost-effective measure because it links in with the one here. Then just note at the bottom, accept relevant facts even if the pestle factor was incorrectly identified as an answer in 2.3.1. So if you said here the economic, right, the economic factor, but you explained environmental, you would still get your marks for environmental, but you would lose your marks there for your economic. Hope that makes sense, and hope that helps a lot. Discuss any 2 types of defensive strategies. Do you see that we've already have intensive and now we have defensive? So just from what I'm picking up, there was a lot of macro strategies within this paper. Okay, defensive strategies is retrenchments. Okay. I just want to see here for a second, sorry. And then I didn't bother even mentioning the second one. How rude. Oh, sorry about that. I just realized now, in the rush of me making these, I robbed myself of 3 marks because I didn't mention the second one. So we have retrenchment. Then we need to explain it. Do you see here? The strategy is for 2 marks and the discussion is for 1 mark, which means 3 marks in total. Retrenchment, terminating employee contracts. You can stop it there. Oh, no. Terminating employee contracts to reduce costs, or you can write letting go of employees for operational reasons or expenses. One of the 2 is perfectly fine. Doesn't make too much of a difference what you choose there. And then I missed it out, but that also opens for opportunity. If you can please assist with what is the answer for retrenchment. Just let me know what you think the answer is for retrenchment. Once again, I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you're looking for this question paper in the memo, it is in the link in the description. So you can find them both there as a Google link download. So I've added them there for that. I'm going to give you a few moments. I hope it's not going to go completely quiet while I wait for just a second answer on that one. Okay, so do you see simple mistakes? Even though I'm a teacher and qualified to do what I'm doing, I even skipped out to write 2. So please make sure you check that. And obviously, because we have our discuss any 2 types, we are then going to mark only your first 2. So you could have either written divestiture or liquidation. I would have chosen liquidation if I were you. And then you could have put there allowing creditors to apply for forced liquidation in order to have their claims settled. All right, back to comment time. When they ask for impact, do you write the advantages, disadvantages, or mix them? I love that, Boitumelo. Thank you so much for that. That is very, very important. I wanted to wait until we get there, but I think I can tell you now. So, what is very, very important with when they ask the impact, you can either write the advantages only, disadvantages only, or you can do a mix. What is very important, and I am writing when I say this, years ago I was nervous in saying this, but I've got clarification from the department that this is allowed to be said. If you're going to do a mix and you are worried you mix them up, right? Don't write whether it's an advantage or disadvantage. Just write them there. I think this will be better when I explain it when we get to there. So Boitumelo, just hang on. I'll explain it when I get there. But my opinion is choose the positives. If you're studying anything, choose the positives. Just remember they can ask you, and I actually saw it recently with a Limpopo paper where they asked specifically for the positive impact of something. So just be careful and just take a note of that. Hey, ma'am, can you please help with HR and quality concepts? We are going to get there in question 3, bit of question 4 and question 6. So let me know if you have any questions when you get there. And then Tashika, hope I'm pronouncing it right. If I am not, I'm sorry. Most people pronounce my name incorrectly. So I feel like the struggle's real and I feel like I've been there and I'm there often. You're doing amazing. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Given. Hi, welcome to the live. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, Boitumelo, I'm just going to pin your advantages, disadvantages, impact. When we get there, we will deal with it. All right, moving on. Oh, before we move on, because it says discuss any 2 types, and they didn't say specifically discuss retrenchment as a defensive, that is why they're giving you the marks for retrenchment there. Nice, easy marks. Right. It's a bit weird, but we have another scenario. This doesn't happen often, just letting you know. It doesn't always happen, but we have a scenario. Another one. So again, we read the question and then we read what is being said in the scenario. Name the pillar of the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act applied by LS in the scenario above for 2 marks. So we need to name the pillar. LAS suppliers implemented the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act in 2003, full stop. They promoted Sandile to a senior executive position to serve on their board of directors. If that didn't give you your keyword, I'm not sure what would. It literally is saying to you executive position on their board of directors. So we are talking about management control. We are not talking about ownership, because if we spoke about ownership, we would say they are owning the business and they are looking to own the business. Okay, just give me 1 second. All right, so then the second question says, describe the purpose of Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act. Okay, just want to take a little step back. Typically with your scenarios, and please, typically, not always. I feel like I always give disclaimers. Probably why I'm a business teacher. Always thinking about ethics and professionalism and not leading learners astray. Typically, your first sentence is an introduction sentence. Typically, like I said, typically. So if you look here, LAS suppliers implemented the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act. We're just saying, okay, cool, they implemented it, it's cool, it's great, we move on with life. It's not giving us any, what do you call it, any meat that we can work off. I just want to go back 1 slide. And if we look here, the same thing. Mondo Manufacturers specializes in the production of winter blankets. It's like, okay, cool, that's great. They make winter blankets, but what pestle factors are they telling us about? Nothing. They aren't telling us anything there. Now, like I said, that is typically the case, doesn't mean it's always the case. Okay, do not quote me and say, but teacher Ilona said that no, teacher Ilona didn't say that. Teacher Ilona said typically. Just making that clear. And then sometimes they have 3 sentences. So you'll have an introduction, the correct answer, and then a distractor. A distractor is another sentence that looks like the correct answer, but it's incorrect. I don't see it too often, but it's there and it happens. Okay, describe the purpose. So it allows for the development of codes, good practices, and it empowers the minister to issue codes of good practice and publish transformation charters. It outlines areas that give the government a platform for bringing equitable spread of wealth. Okay, I know that this is a little bit more difficult to read and study, but what I tried to do is, you see here the keyword is codes of good practice, and again we have your codes of good practice. So what are we doing with codes of good practice? We are allowing them for development. We are empowering the minister to issue them for public transformation charters. And then we are outlining the areas that give the government a platform so that we can equitably spread the wealth. Right, and we are back to comments for a second. Okay, hi Lebohang, welcome. The last comment, I actually did see you. You don't stress that you are late, and you guys don't need to worry about retracting your comments and your messages. I really don't mind. You're more than welcome to leave them there. It's definitely helpful and it's great. And I hope you guys are still enjoying it. And without further ado, we are going to continue. I feel like I'm rhyming today. Maybe I was meant to do poetry. I don't know. Explain ways in which businesses can comply with the Consumer Protection Act. Right, here we're talking all about the consumer. So how can we comply with this act? We can disclose the prices of all the products on sale. We can display the name of the business on all business documentation, such as invoices and contracts. Okay, you would say easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? I just wanted to note here, this is 4 marks, so you only needed 2 here. Gave you an extra 1 for free. And then here was 4 marks, so 2 bullets here as well. Now remember, here we didn't ask you to describe 3 purposes. We just said describe the purpose. So we will mark until we reach 4 marks for that one. All right, then discuss the impact of Labor Relations Acts on the business. 6 marks, 3 bullets. Promotes a healthy relationship between the employer and employees. Remember, labor relations, we're talking about any type of relationship between the employers and employees. So let me break it down. Relations comes from the word relationship, and labor comes from work and working. So we're looking at what is the relationship between work and workers and employers and employees. So we are protecting, sorry, we're not protecting, we're protecting next. We are promoting a healthy relationship between them. We are protecting the rights of the business in labor relations issues. The employer and employee have guidelines regarding the correct and fair dismissal procedure. So if they have a healthy relationship, we're protecting the rights with any issues. And then if there are issues, there needs to be the correct procedure in place for that. Okay, hi, tell me, I'm reading comments quickly. Hi, tell me what questions do we do if we want to do HR and quality and performance? Okay, so with HR, quality and performance, you would do questions 3, 4, and 6. Okay, bearing in mind that 4 is going to have half of the business environments. Okay. Okay, hi Lorato, it's nice to have you here. Sorry, I'm sorry I didn't see your comments. Please tell me I did. I'm sorry. Trying to switch between the two. I cannot read anything. Please help. Oh goodness. Ma'am, your resolution isn't making the board clear. Shucks. Okay, what I can do is I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Thank you so much for that. That definitely helps. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and see if I share again. Hopefully that fixes the problem. Hopefully the resolution is better. You're doing great. I really appreciate the motivation. That's really sweet of you. It's really great. Trust me, it's a bit nerve-wracking doing this live. I shouldn't be nervous because I used to do this live every day in class for 8 hours. So it shouldn't be very nerve-wracking. Okay. If there isn't an issue with the resolution, then I'm going to move along. Right. Then advise businesses on the strategic management process. 4 marks, 2 bullets. So the strategic management process, strategic, we're talking strategy once again. So we need to formulate a strategy and then we need to implement that strategy. Okay, formulate a strategy. What type of strategy? We need to either have a defensive or a retrenchment strategy. To implement it, we need to use a template such as an action plan. 4 marks there. Right, and that is question 2 done and dusted. I'm just going to double check comments again if we have anything before we move on. And then, Boy Tomato, I haven't forgotten about your advantages. It is definitely within this live because I did the slides between yesterday and today. So it is here. I will make note of it when we do get there. All right, so question 3, business operations. Here we are talking our HR and our quality of performance. Let's dive in. So state any 4 sources of internal recruitment. Remember, internal is on the inside. I'm not looking for people that do not work for my company. External recruitment is if I go and post it on Facebook or I go to post it on LinkedIn. Internal is anyone in my company. It's very, very important to just note that. Because I've asked you for 4, it means I'm only going to mark your first 4 only. So we have internal emails, word of mouth. I just want to add there within the company, business newsletters and notice boards of the business. We also have the management referrals as well that you can also write there. Okay, that one is fairly simple. That comes out of HR. Then outline the role of the interviewer. See here now we have the other one, the opposite one, the interviewer before the interview. So as the interviewer, before you come for your interview, I need to book and prepare venue. And I need to also set an interview date and ensure that all interviews take place on the same date if possible. Okay, so I think that one's self-explanatory, and this is why I used examples I used the notes from the marking guideline to try and make it a lot more easier and simple. So here, for example, we cannot meet for an interview if I haven't booked a venue, okay? And a venue is not something extravagant. We're not talking, we're meeting at such and such place in Stanton or whatever. We're talking about if I need to go have my interviews in the boardroom, I need to go to the reception to make sure the boardroom is booked for the set date and time. And then obviously, if I'm going to book it, I'm going to need to book it for a certain date and time. Okay, pretty simple. Then read the scenario below and answer the questions. Here we have another scenario. This one is a longer scenario. Quote 2 legal requirements of an employment contract from the scenario above. So we are quoting 2, 1 mark each. We are not motivating anything. Now, before we dive in there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences there. Meaning, okay, let's dive in. 4 sentences. 1 is introductory, 2 are the correct answer, and 1 is your distractor. So let's try and see what are the correct answers and what is your distractor there. Okay. Toby Logistics drafted an employment contract for Tabo, a newly appointed transport supervisor. Okay. So we drafted an employment contract. Management explained the terms and conditions of the employment contract to him. Tabo was given an opportunity to read the contract before signing, and TL also highlighted the reasons why an employment contract could be terminated. Okay, let's look through that. So, The answers are management explained the terms and conditions of the employment contract. Why is that the correct answer? Because in an employment contract, where are we? We have the terms and conditions. Okay, so whether they're explaining it to him or whether he's reading it, every contract needs to have terms and conditions. And then he has to be allowed to read it before he signs it. And we know in our notes, a legal requirement is that it needs to be signed by both the employer and the employee. So this one is your distractor. Why? Because when learners are reading this, they will see it says terminated. Therefore, we know termination is an aspect in employment contract. But no, we're just saying the reasons why it could be terminated. Remember, your termination is not talking about why you would want to terminate it. Termination is talking if you work there for a week, what is your termination period? If you work there for a month, if you work there for a year, if you work there for longer than 6 years, is there a probation period? Talking about why he would want to. I mean, that's also silly. Hold on. We are drafting an employment contract. We're telling him, okay, so here's your contract, but should you want to terminate it, you could either pass away, retire, find another job. Okay, sounds really silly of why I would explain to you why you need to terminate your contract. That is really silly. So that is your distractor. Why is it called a distractor? Because it distracts you from the correct answer. And it's very sneaky that they put it last. Because if you were reading here, if I'm scanning, because I often skim and scan when I'm reading, I saw employment contract and I saw terminated. So time pressure is there. You see on the board, an hour's gone by, you've got an hour left, and you are freaking out and you're stressing, and then therefore you go, right, that is the answer, and that would be incorrect. Another one is please write from a capital letter till a full stop. It is very, very important. They're going to become stricter with this in the future. I don't know about for this year, but please, please, please bear in mind. I'm coming back to the comments in a second. Sorry. Let's just look at the notes. Mark the first two only. Why? Because I said, quote, two specifically. 1 mark, 1 mark. Only award marks for responses that are quoted from the scenario. So if you're going to write your own stuff here, I've seen it where learners might say, Tabo signed the contract. You are not quoting that from the scenario. Therefore, technically, that would be wrong. Don't dilly yourself or, I don't know, shoot yourself in the foot by using your own wording to try and save time, or writing, Tabo was given an opportunity, ... Oh my goodness. Because where is your keyword? Your keyword is signing the contract. So please write from a capital letter till a full stop. If I'm sounding very aggressive, I'm not being aggressive. I just need to stress that. And it's very important. Okay. Comment time. Question 3 is my favorite. I'm kind of nervous about it because during the prelims, question 3 was actually quite tough. Because I did not study quality. Oh, goodness. Okay. Quality is very important. They love asking it. And yeah, question 3 is very nice. I know learners often do question 3 because they're very intimidated or put off by all those acts, and I don't blame them. I mean, there's 8 acts, and they can ask you the purpose. They can ask you ways to comply, non-compliance, penalties. It's a lot. But quality is very, very important. And if you're doing question 3, remember, it's only coming out of quality and HR. 2 chapters versus the other side. I'm not trying to convert everyone to become question 3ers. It's not what I'm doing here. I'm just giving you the facts as they are. And yeah, that was very risky business, though, given that you didn't study quality for prelims. It's a bit risky business there, if I'm going to be honest myself. But yeah, hopefully you're seeing how much it's going to tie in now, and that you will hopefully study it. Because if that is going to be the essay, yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. All right, moving on. Then we need to advise businesses on the reasons for the termination of an employment contract. Hold on. So again, do you see here? Learners would have said, advise businesses on the reasons for termination. Okay, so there it says terminated, so that is the correct answer. No. Do you see how that is specifically there to catch you out? And not to catch out, I don't like using that wording. It's more to keep question papers at a standard. I like to use that wording a bit better. Okay, so why were they terminated? Employees may decide to leave or resign voluntarily for better job opportunities. An employee may have reached the predetermined age for retirement. So once you reach 65, well, then your contract is going to come to an end. And obviously, if you decide to leave the business. Right. I'm going to go through the last one, then it's comment time. Discuss the implications of the Employment Equity Act on human resource functions. So now, question 3ers, or should I say business operations? Learners would have seen this and they would be like, but why are they asking me employment equity? Those are the acts and those are business environments. Get your business environments out of here, okay? Specifically, okay. Sorry. I just need to take a second to just give myself a little giggle there. Okay, 6 marks, 3 bullets. So the implications of employment equity, remember employment equity, we're talking everything equal. We're trying to keep it equal. We're trying to keep it fair. We're trying not to discriminate. So how do we keep it equal within human resources? We offer equal pay for equal work value. Meaning, if I have a male receptionist and a female receptionist, they need to earn the same amount. Right? Display a summary of the act. I know that is a lot in business studies. I know this, I've seen this this bullet specifically a lot. So we need to have it on the wall to display employment equity. And yes, staff can walk past during lunchtime and go read it. Of course they can. Where it is clearly where employees can clearly see it and have access to it. So it cannot be within the manager's office behind them because that's intimidating. I'm not going to want to go read it. So it can be in corridors, it can be in a boardroom. It needs to be clearly seen and there needs to be access to it. Ensure that workplace represents the demographics of the country at all levels. Okay, so the demographics of the country, we're talking young people, old people, different races, different genders. Okay, so that's how we can put it into human resources. Okay. Essay predictions, unstoppable. Unfortunately, I'm not able to give that because I don't want to throw learners off by studying the wrong thing and for using my stuff word for word and saying, you know, teacher Ilona said that essay A is going to be the essay and then it's not. So I unfortunately can't give predictions. The only definite that I can say, and I don't want to repeat myself too much in this live, the only definite I can say is question 6 is either going to be HR or it's going to be quality because in the table, that is how it's set out. Hi, ma'am. Is the session being recorded? It is being recorded and I will upload it once the live is finished, unedited, unfiltered, unplugged. We're just going to roll with it like it is. So yes, when the session's done, it takes maybe give it about half an hour, take some time to process, and then I can upload it as a video to be watched afterwards or tomorrow. So if I was going too fast in something, you can always review this tomorrow as well. Alrighty. 3.5, outline the benefits of a good quality management system. 4 marks, 2 bullets. So, good quality management now. When we're speaking good quality, think about it for yourself. If you think quality, I know when I think quality, what comes to mind is Nike shoes. Not that I have any or own any. Probably price is the reason why I don't. But you're paying for that quality. So anyway, let me not rant about that too much. So when it comes to quality specifically, we need to have a competitive advantage over competitors, right? Why do we have a competitive advantage? Because people know when they're buying Nike shoes, they know they're getting quality for it. I'm just using Nike as an example. You can think of other examples too. And now, because we have a good quality management system, it improves the business image because there are less defects and returns because we have good quality, and because we have good quality, we have a competitive advantage. People keep coming back because there's less returns and defects. Okay, Dane, if there is a 6-mark question and it requires 3 well-discussed bullets, if I write 4 bullets and get the first wrong, will the remaining 3 get marked and still grant full mark? Yes, yes. So I giggled because I thought you were writing something else that one of my students have written before. So when it comes to a 6-mark question, unless I've asked you to state 4 or name 4, I'm going to mark everything until I reach the maximum marks. So let's use this one as an example. There were 4 marks here. So if a learner wrote 4 bullets for argument's sake, and this bullet was wrong, I'll mark it wrong, but then if this one is correct, I'll mark it correct. And then if this one is wrong, I'll mark it wrong. So I basically mark until I reach my 4 marks. Doesn't matter how many you have written there. I hope that that helps. Unless I state specifically, please, or name 4, I'm not going to say please, sorry. Name 4, name 2, quote 2, then I'm only going to mark your first 2. So yes, 100%. If it's a 6 mark, I'm just checking and requires 3 well discussed. If I write 4 and get the first one wrong, will the remaining 3? Yes, 100%. And my advice always is, if you know more, write more. So if you know more information, write more information. It's very important. And because again, I mark until I reach the full marks. Okay, then scenario time again, 3.6. Read the question first. Identify the business function that is applicable to ML in the scenario above. So the business function. Musa Limited sales storage containers. Sorry, that was completely incorrect. Musa Limited, sells storage containers to small businesses. Correct me if I'm wrong. Introduction sentence. ML continuously updates their bookkeeping records to ensure that their tax payments to the South African Reserve Services, SARS, is timeous and accurate. Here we're talking all about money. Hello, let's look at that. Bookkeeping records, tax payments. So our answer is going to be financial function. Do you see when I said the first one is more of an introduction sentence? Okay, then we have explain other quality indicators of the business function identified in question 3.6.1. I'm going to pop it up while I just get myself a refresh of water. Dane, you are most welcome. Not water, is Oros juice. Good. Okay, and we are back. So we need to explain other quality indicators. Okay. Just want to see here. Okay. Obtain capital from most suitable, available, reliable resources. Analyze strategies to increase profitability. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. This question's worded a little bit weird. Because if I read this as explain other quality indicators, you could have explained the administration, general management. So just bear that in mind there. Explain other quality indicators identified. There's your keyword. Do you see how learners read this very quickly? And that's why I know learners get very upset when teachers are like, read your questions properly. Take time to read your questions. This is why, because it's so important. Otherwise, you make silly mistakes. So we need to explain other ones because this is obviously a quality indicator. Now we need to explain any others. Note, do not award marks for a response that is quoted from the scenario. So if you're going to go and quote this exact one, you're not going to get the marks. Accept relevant facts even if financial was incorrectly identified. So if you said purchasing there and explained financial, you'll get the marks for this and not the marks for your identifying. Right, without further ado, let's move on. Discuss the impact of total client or customer satisfaction as a total quality management element on large businesses. Boitumelo, I hope you are still here. Here is your question on the impacts. Okay, so it says discuss the impact specifically. I actually just want to change that up for a second, and I want to show you something while we're discussing this section. So I'm going to quickly unshare my screen and reshare it. I want to show you the guidelines. Right, just want to see. Yes, it's sharing nicely there. Oh, that's a bit big there. All right, so do you see here it says the positives and then all the positives. Then if we scroll down, it says and or. The negatives with the negatives, and the max is 6 marks. So you can either do 3 positives, 3 negatives, or you can do 2 positives, 1 negative, 2 negatives, 1 positive. But what's important is if you write this positives, these below have to be positive. If you incorrectly write it, so if you write positives, just bear with me, positive advantages, and underneath it you write that not all employees may be involved as a positive, it is going to be marked wrong. Why? You have stated that this is a positive. Okay, I'm just going to give that a second. Boitumelo, I'm so glad you're still here. Brilliant. So, not all employees may be involved to total client satisfaction is a negative. Okay, if you write that under positives and vice versa, if you're going to write large businesses may get access to the global market as a negative, you are going to get it wrong. So my advice is, okay, let me just unshare my screen. I hope everyone is still there and still with me, and I hope that I didn't confuse you too much by sharing that. Let's stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to share the screen. Okay. So, do you see my answer? Did I have a heading of positives or negatives? No. Meaning, the examiner has to mark these. It makes it a little bit more difficult and a little bit more work for the examiner, but it's okay. We want you to get the most marks. I need to assume that these could be anything from positive or negative, and I need to take the time to go look at either one. So I'm going to assume that this could be either positive or negative because I asked for the impact. I didn't ask whether it's positive or negative. I see a comment while I'm busy here. Would I still lose marks if I do not state if it's positive or negative? No, you won't. No, you won't. I've double checked this. You will not lose marks. The only situation is if I've specifically asked for the positive impact, then you have to put positives. But no, you don't lose any marks if you leave out whether it's positive or negative. You don't lose any marks. We have to mark it assuming that you could have written either positives or just negatives or a combination. I hope that that helps. Boitumelo, I would love some feedback from you. Just let me know, thumbs up or something, if that was helpful, if that now makes sense with showing you that example. Okay, while I wait for a response there, I'm going to just go through this one. So I chose the positives because I found the positives are a lot easier to remember. Also, just trying to keep on the positive side of life, I guess. So we are continuously promoting a positive business image. Why? If we have a positive business image, we can then have customer satisfaction. Customers want to come to a place that has a good business image. Because we have a positive business image, it may lead to higher consumer retention or loyalty, and we may be able to charge higher prices. Think of Nike. Because they have consumer retention and loyalty and a good positive image, they can charge high prices. Okay, once again, if you think about companies, put yourself into that company's shoes and think how that company would think, and that should help you with this. It may lead to increased competitiveness, which will then lead to profitability. Why? If we have competitiveness, it's because we have a good positive image, a good reputation, and customer loyalty within it. Okay, excellent, Boitamelo. Thank you so much for that indication. I am very happy about that. Okay, 6 marks, 2 marks each. Okay, if anyone is confused why these marks is halfway through the sentence and 1 at the end and not 2 at the end, it means, and I know this is going to sound so silly, and please don't bank on this for every single occasion. Right. If you wrote continuously promote, you will get a mark, and the teacher needs to place it there. Continuously promote, 1 mark. A positive business image, 2nd mark. May lead to higher consumer retention or loyalty, 1 mark. And businesses may be able to charge higher prices, 2nd mark. May lead to increased, promise you, 1 mark. Competitiveness, 2nd mark. That's why it is split. Okay, I have another question 3 is my favorites. Okay, I'm very, very happy to hear that. Then, last one, recommend ways in which total quality management can reduce the cost of quality. I just want to go back a second. Gibbon was the one that said he didn't study quality. Do you see how much quality was in last year's paper? So just be prepared. They can do half quality and half human resources, or they can do mostly quality or mostly human resources. Depends. Alrighty, recommend ways in which we can reduce the cost of quality. So we want to keep quality, but we want to reduce how much money we're spending on quality. How can we do that? 4 marks, 2 bullets. We can share the responsibility, not having one person do quality alone. No. We are sharing the responsibility for quality output amongst management and workers. More people that can help, the easier we can get it done. Work closely with suppliers to improve the quality of raw materials. If we have better raw materials coming in, don't we have better quality products? So if our quality of our raw materials, if we are baking a cake, okay, I love baking, so hence why I'm mentioning that. If we have better flour and better sugar and better milk and butter and whatever and cocoa, then wouldn't that mean that our cakes are going to come out better quality? So now think about it. We're going to zoom it out for a second. If the eggs are used in the cake, I'll make the cake today, and by tomorrow, or no, let's say by today's Tuesday, by Thursday, my cake has expired. Okay? Bear with me. So I baked the cake today, gave it to the person Wednesday, by Thursday it's expired. Are they going to want to buy a cake from me again? Unlikely not. Also, they might ask me for a refund or to make them a brand new cake. And now I'm spending more money to try and get better quality. So if I have better quality of raw materials and inputs, it's going to reduce my quality overall. All right, then we have question 4. Okay, once again, please don't be shy in the comments. Please let me know if you have any questions, anything you would like to know, struggling with. I must say I'm appreciating the comments. It is really awesome, and that you guys are giving me feedback and asking me questions as we go. That is really, really awesome. So do you see business environments? 4 questions. Business operations? 4 questions. Now, if you add this up on the side, I don't want to join a math class yet. We had maths yesterday, and I'm pretty sure from what I've seen on TikTok, we're a little bit done with that. So I hope that went well, but I don't want to put you in a math class again because I think been there, done there, got the t-shirt, you tick the box. But if we add this, that's 10 marks. That's 8, that's 10 marks, meaning business environments is 20 marks. Business operations is 20 marks, which gives us our 40. Do you see what I was trying to say with question 2? That is 40 marks. Question 3, 40 marks. Question 4, we have half and half. Okay. And Tando is already ready. She's already giving us the answer to 4.1. I love it for you. I really do. Okay, overtime. I think you read my mind. Overtime is one of the answers. Name any 4 provisions to the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Again, I've asked you for 4, so I'm going to mark your first 4 only. Okay, we have termination of employment, leave, annual sick, family responsibility, maternity, paternity, parental, regulation of working time, ordinary hours, overtime, meal intervals, and rest periods, Sunday, work, or public holidays, and then particulars of employment remuneration. Wow, ma'am, that is a lot of information all at once. Why would you give us so many dashes and slashes? Wow, ma'am, you're confusing us. No, bear with me. You could have written any of these types of leave. So you could have written this as annual leave, sick leave, family responsibility leave, maternity leave, and so on. You could have written regulation of work time, ordinary hours of work, overtime, meal intervals and rest periods. Sorry, that's one. Sunday work or public holidays. I would have put something with that Sunday work and public holidays. And then obviously your particulars of employment and remuneration. So how are you receiving money? We have 2 salary determination methods. How are you going to be receiving money? When do you receive money? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? And then I just wanted to put a note here. This is 1 bullet. So, believe it or not, I've seen it in the past. Slightly cringy if you ask me. Where learners will write, I'm just going to pick a random place here, sick leave, family leave, annual leave as separate bullets. No, your teacher is going to take, well, your external marker actually is going to take a thing and do a little kringiki, a little hockey's, what do you call it, brackets thing, and they're going to say 1 mark, meaning they are all part of the same bullet. Please don't do yourself in by doing that. It's a bit of a silly one to lose marks on. Same with here. Do not write overtime and then meal intervals as 2 separate ones. They are the same bullets. So do you see why I put them all separate? Why did I leave all the slashes and dashes? To show you that you have options, essentially. Okay, Boy Tamelo has a question. Ma'am, would you suggest we start with the essay first, or do we go according to the question from question 1? Right. My suggestion from now until tomorrow, until Thursday, would be to do the essay first. As long as you label it correctly, please double check with your teacher at your school. But from my knowledge, I've worked at 2 different schools, and they have both said, as long as you label it correctly, so you write there, section C, question 5, then on a new page, section A, as long as you label it and number it correctly, you should be A-okay and good to go. Why do I say do the essay first? It is 40 marks. Get that 40 marks out of your head, okay? Silly to say it like that. But it's 40 marks. If I'm not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think you need, 75 out of 150 to get 30%. That's not what we should be going for. But if it's the 40 marks plus your 30 marks, there's already 70. So start with the essay. Just make sure you number it correctly so that it doesn't confuse the examiner. All right, then we are outlining the rights of consumers in terms of the National Credit Act. Now, just note there, learners could have read very quickly and just read consumers and act and written about the Consumer Protection Act. I'm just pointing this out to you as a teacher, as a marker, as an examiner, because I've set my own papers. If you write here, we are talking about the rights of consumers with national credit. And I know you might say, but ma'am, that sounds silly because they write it there. When you're in a stressful situation and I don't know, the previous question you did was horrible, and now you're starting to doubt yourself and doubt all your life decisions and everything that you've been through. Yeah, you might read that very quickly and read it wrong. Okay, 6 marks, 3 bullets. So we have the right to apply for credit and to be free from discrimination, meaning it doesn't matter how old you are, Obviously, being of legal age that you can take out credit, but it shouldn't matter your gender, your race, your age, whether or not you can take out credit or not. So you can apply for credit, that is your right. You should have the right to receive information in plain and understandable language. It's generally English that you would receive it in. Please don't write to receive information in English, okay? Because you could be someone that speaks another language, plain and understandable language. Receive protection of your personal information, meaning if you're going to take out a loan, or you're going to apply for credit, you want to get the latest cell phone, and you apply through MTN, you have a right that they protect your personal information. I know with Poppy Act, obviously that's made it much more, but with the National Credit Act as well. Right, comments time. All right, Jared, how can I get 38 out of 40 for the essay? It's a bit of a difficult question, the way you've worded it. So my advice would be for that specifically, I'm going to get to it after question 4. But try and write a minimum of 4 bullets under every heading. So remember, in the essay, we have 4 headings. Try and write 4 under every single one. That should help. I'm going to show a whole breakdown of marks. I don't want to get to it right now. So like Boitamelo, I'm going to pin that for now. And just I hope you're in the live later to watch that and watch it through. And then I will go through that. I do have originality coming up as well. So make sure that you just check it out for originality, which will also help with those few marks there. How do we judge how many marks each sub-question will be in the essay question? Or how do we determine how much to write under each? Okay, Dane, I'm going to get to you now as well. Let's finish question 4. Let's not jump the gun and get too excited. I'm going to get to there now. I've got a whole breakdown. You guys are getting a bit hasty and excited, and I know it's exciting. We're going to get to it now. It's either exciting or daunting. I'm not too sure. Let's finish question 4, and then Jared and Dane, I'm going to answer your questions. All right, 4.3, we have another scenario. This one is quite small. I do apologize for that. I see it now in hindsight, that's quite small. So we are going to quote 2 steps in strategy evaluation implemented by SB from the scenario above. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. So we have 2 correct answers, distractor, and intro sentence. Shoe Boutique implemented a strategy aimed at improving their customer service due to decrease in sales. The management of SB evaluated if their strategy had been effective. SB examined the underlying basis of their strategy throughout the implementation process. They also analyzed the impact of the implemented strategy on their internal and external environments. That is a mouthful. So we are, and just note this, some questions ask to name. This one's asking to quote, and we are quoting directly from the scenario. So the answers are SB examined the underlying basis of their strategy throughout the implementation process, which is this one. Okay, in order to check our strategy, we need to see if it is working. So we need to examine it. They also analyze the impact of the implemented strategy on their internal and external environments. Meaning, this one with the management of SB was your distractor, and the Shoe Boutique in decreasing sales was your introduction sentence. Okay. Right, then again, mark the first 2 only, because I asked you for 2. Only award marks for responses that are quoted from the scenario. Capital letter till a full stop. Capital letter till a full stop. Now we are explaining other steps in strategy evaluation. 4 marks, 2 bullets. We are going to look forward and backwards into the implementation process. Okay, I know it's not exactly the same, but when we're talking about strategy, remember this whole chapter is about strategy. forward and backward integration. Remember where we were sitting with our company. So we're going backward and forward. So we need to do forward and backward implementation of the process. We need to compare the expected performance with the actual performance. So before we start to implement the strategy, we would have said, okay, the expected performance is going to be this, and now we need to measure it with the actual performance to see where we are sitting. Did we implement it correctly? Accept steps in any order. That is very important. Any time you get steps, you can write it in any order. Do not award marks for responses that were quoted from the previous one, obviously. Right. Then we have advise businesses on how they could apply the power of suppliers as a force of Porter's 5 forces to analyze their position in the market environment. Ooh, mouthful. What's important? Power of suppliers and Porter's 5 forces model. 4 marks, 2 bullets. So, if we need to assess the power of our suppliers in influencing pricing, okay, the more powerful our suppliers are, the less control we have over them as a business. So if we can get discounts from our suppliers, or so discounts, if we can get bulk discounts, obviously then they have less power in influencing the prices, and they are less powerful, therefore we have more control over them, and then vice versa. Okay, comment quickly. Ma'am, how do we insert a current example into our essay? Tashika, I'm going to get to you now as well. I did say we're going to deal with that one in the next section. When we get to essays, I am just taking note of these questions and I will dive into them when you do the essays. Now, before I move on, I'll pop up the next question so you can see it's the business operations part. I have created a document that does include a few. I'm losing my words. I think I'm so excited. I am losing what I'm about to say. Okay. So I've created a document where it has originality examples for 2 essays. It's a free guide that I've made for you guys. So I would really appreciate to depart that with you. I am also busy making a guide that will include a lot more essays. I want to look at the last 5 years, and I'm hoping to have it done by tomorrow. So the free one, if you pop me an email, let me just put my email address. So it's teacherilona20@gmail.com. If you pop me an essay, you don't have to say much. You can just say, hi, ma'am, free guide, or please give your free guide. Then I will send you an email with the free guide that I have. So you can see the one essay with all the questions, and then the other essay with all the questions, and then you can see all the originality. And then in the guide, I have included, it's 80 Rand for the full guide, and I will be finishing it tomorrow, so I will get that through to you tomorrow. Will I get much sleep tonight? Maybe not, but I will finish that for you. So if you are interested in receiving that, please just send me an email and I will send that on through to you. Okie dokes. So now we are stating any 4 aspects that should be included in an employment contract. 4 marks, 4 aspects, 1 mark each. We're marking your first 4 only. So, employment contract should have the personal details of the employee, your position, your job position. Then I love this, right? So if you think of yourself as an employee, at least have your name on it and the job that you're doing. And then we know with any type of jobs come job description, job specification. So do you see how naming these were easier? The job description just says such as duties and responsibilities, and your job specification is your formal qualifications and your willingness to travel. All right, then another scenario, 4.6. Identify 2 components of job analysis used by MC and motivate by quoting. This is one of the first where we are motivated by quoting. I did sneaky put them there, so I'm just pointing that out. Okay, so if you wrote them there, you would have then received okay, so before I get ahead of myself, you would have received 1 mark here, 1 mark there, and then 2 marks and 2 marks. Okay, do you see where grouping stuff together when studying helps? Okay, I just want to write here quickly in the comments. Okay, it is almost essay time, so I hope you guys are getting ready, and then I make a mistake while I am commenting. That is just brilliant. Love it. Love it for me. Okay. All right, awesome. So don't forget, if you want that free guide, I would appreciate if I can send it to at least someone, because I did spend a long time trying to do that guide for you guys, and it is free. It is free, and I do think it'll be helpful for Thursday. All right, so is that Mpemba? If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. Construction compiled a job analysis for the vacant position of a project manager. Any facts? No. MC indicated that applicants must have a diploma, formal qualification, in construction. The successful candidate will compile progress reports on assigned projects, duties and responsibilities, and then we need to motivate. So, job specification, 2 marks. Job description, 2 marks. Job specification. Now, the way that I've broken this down is we are looking at who specifically will apply for this job, or who would be the best candidate. So it is people that have a diploma in construction. Your job description describes the job you're doing. So here we are specifically looking who can do the job. Here we are describing who does the job and what you do. The successful candidate will compile progress reports on assigned projects. That is what you are doing as your description. And then notes. Now remember, these notes are in the marking guidelines. Mark the first 2 only. Award marks for components of job analysis, even if the motivation is incomplete. So if you did not do motivations and you only did this side, you will still get your 4 marks. Do not award marks for motivations if the components of the analysis were incorrectly identified, and accept responses in any order. So if you wrote here, I don't know, piecemeal, you got completely confused and I don't know, you wrote your piecemeal and then you motivated, it is wrong, because a piecemeal is not that you must have a diploma in construction. Okay, it's like me saying to you, you should buy this specific type of phone because it can make you ice cream. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know what phone can make you ice cream. I mean, a phone can help me to send messages and stuff, and I can order ice cream, but making ice cream, no. Making ice cream is not what I can do. So, yeah. That's why if you identify wrong, your motivation is going to be wrong as well. Okay. Sampiwe, thank you for your comment. I'm not too sure what you mean, because I'm just struggling with language barrier here. So just, if you could just retype that in English, just so I know what you're saying, that would be helpful. Thanks. Then 4.7, almost essay time. Explain the role of quality circles as part of continuous improvement to process and systems. So quality circle, we are sitting as a company in a circle, and each person in that circle is going to say, how can we improve the quality of this class that we are offering? Okay. I mean, it says here Merry Christmas. Well, it says Merry, which is like Merry Christmas. Maybe they can say it's great, but it won't be good for all times of year. Glass, we can't sell it to children because it's going to break. Whatever the case is, but it's sitting in a circle at work, and we are discussing the quality after the product was made. So this is the role of quality circles. 6 marks, 3 bullets. So like I said, We are going to make suggestions for improving the process and systems in the workplace. Then, because we're making suggestions, we're going to investigate problems that we have and suggest solutions. We're then going to solve the problems related to quality and implement improvements. All right. We all still enjoying ourselves, or we all still learning something? I truly hope so. And then last one before we move on to our wonderful essays that we all love so much and so dearly. 100% sarcasm in that. I do apologize. Maybe it's too soon. Sorry. Advise businesses on the quality indicators of the general management function. So the quality indicators of general management, 4 marks, 2 bullets. So general management is going to set direction and establish priorities of the business. And when we talk direction, we're talking our vision. It's how far we can see into the future. Effectively communicate shared vision and mission and values. So when we think mission, why did we start our company? Vision, how far can I see into the future? Where do I see this company going in 5 years, in 10 years' time? Or whatever the case is. Okay, I'm going to pop that there for a second while I just go through comments. Ma'am, should everything be factual? Or you can also put in your own words. Mosa, that is a very, very difficult question to answer. Most of the time, yes, it has to be factual and it has to be word for word. If you're going to put it in your own words, remember it can change the context. And if you change the context or you change the wording, it then can be wrong. I've had in the past where learners used to write put it in their own words all the time, and it truly disadvantaged them. And yeah, unfortunately, business is a very factual subject, so it does need to be kept very factual, and I would move away from trying to put it in your own words. Obviously, if you're very stuck and you cannot, then rather try than leave it out, but strictly try and keep it factual. And then I missed one here. Can you explain human resource management? What would you like me to explain human resource management? I'm sorry, I did miss your message, but I got to it now. Ma'am, can you please zoom in for the essay questions? I can't see. I'm going to zoom in now. I'm just taking a moment just to do comments quickly because I do have to swap between the screens. So I'm going to zoom in now. Right. So we have question 5 is business environments legislation. Question 6 is business operations, and we have human resource function. Now, is it going to be human resource on Thursday? I don't know. It could be, it could not be. And I'm not saying this to try and throw you off in any way. I'm just being as honest as possible. So, coming back to questions, give me one moment there. Okay. Dane asked how many marks under each sub-question will be in the essay and how do we determine? Okay, so what I've worked out here is you're going to have introduction with 2 bullets, always. You're going to have 4 headings. Where do you get those 4 headings from? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 headings. Under each, I've given you 4 bullets under each heading. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. Conclusion, 1 bullet. And then we're following FLASO. So if we work this out, right, and we take all of this, we're going to have, it's going to be 1, 2, because it's 1 mark each. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, and then it's going to be 38. So with this structure that I've provided, it'll give you 38 marks. And remember, your facts get maxed at 32. Now, if you know more than 4 bullets under one specific heading, write more, because if your first 2 are wrong, we can still mark the other 2 or 3 or 4, how many you are providing. It's a bit more of a lengthy topic, to be honest, but I'm going to go through it as we go, and I'm going to show you the end breakdown when I'm done with each essay. Okay, I just want to double check I am getting to all the questions. So Jared, does that help you in getting your 38 out of 40 marks? Bearing in mind as well, if you write the word introduction, please don't write intro or write duction or write just I. You have to write the full word introduction. Then next to it, there's not really space, but we'll write an L there for layout. So facts is 32 marks, layouts is 2, analysis is 2, synthesis is 2, and originality is 2 marks. So write introduction with something underneath it, you'll get L for layout. Conclusion, something underneath, L for layout. That's your, goodness, sorry, 2 marks for layout. Then if I see that you've written all 4 headings, all 4, you've just written the headings, you'll get 1 mark for analysis. How do you get your second mark for analysis? Once I start marking everything and you receive 16 and above, you will get your second A. Synthesis is, did you answer 2 headings or more, which is 50%, because we have 4 headings. So if you only answer 2 headings, right, you will get 2 marks for synthesis, as long as they are relevant facts and they are correct. So if I'm asking you HR and you're writing about quality, do you see where that is completely not relevant? We're not talking incorrect or correct answers here. We're just talking relevancy. If I asked you Consumer Protection Act and you wrote me National Credit Act, it's not relevant. It's not correct in any way, shape, or form. It is so think about it as the complete opposite or the wrong chapter entirely. And then, so with synthesis, you only lose marks. So I've had it before where Ilona, I think, only did 1 heading, and then they lost, we write 1 minus S. But what they wrote was relevant, so then they only got 1 mark for S. They only lost 1 mark for S. I've had Ilona that did nothing. They wrote intro with something and conclusion with something, and nothing was written here. Then I would write twice, 1 minus S and 1 minus S, which means you get 0 for S, because you wrote nothing relevant and you did less than 50% of the essay. So do more than 50% and write what is relevant, and then you'll receive your 2 marks for S. Originality, remember in the last 2 years, so to be safe rather than sorry, anything from 2024 and 2025 is perfectly fine. Anything 2024, anything 2025, and you are good. If you're going to use 2023, we are too old. It is too old. So in November 2024 is still perfect. I mean, you could use November 23, but I'm just saying you're starting to enter, I don't know, rough waters here. Rather use anything from 24 or anything from 2025. And remember, your teacher needs to be able to research it. And it's not going to be your teacher. It is going to be your external examiner. So make sure that it's easy to research and that they can research it. Go Google on your phone. The way you want to write it, go Google it on your phone and see if you can find it. And if you can find it, then brilliant. Okay, I've missed a few here. If the sentence means the same thing and only differs by minor amount of words, will you still receive the mark? Yes, yes. But be careful, Dane. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. So yes, if it has the same meaning and you've just maybe left out a few words, then you're perfectly fine. You're good to go. Strategy to memorize the points. What I would do is to try and pick out keywords. I'll do it with the next one. With that comment, I'll do it with the next one to try and show you how to pick out keywords, to try and remember the full sentence, and also try and find a business. Like I used Nike earlier. I don't know if you were in the live and I used Nike. Ma'am, which essay will be in the test? I do not know. I have answered that a few times. What about body? Cornelia, what do you mean? What about the body? So question, heading 1, 2, 3, and 4 is your body. If you are asking, do you write the word body? No, that is an economics essay. You don't need to write body. You write intro, 2 bullets, and then you write the names of the heading. I've just put them as heading 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ma'am, is there negative marking in the essay for mentioning a completely separate topic and for what is required in the question? Okay, yes. So I did explain that in synthesis. It means that it has no relevance for what is being asked specifically. And then, ma'am, will you please explain the layout of the essay question, please? Tashika, can you please explain what do you mean with the layout? Because to my knowledge, I have gone through it in detail. So just let me know if there's something specifically that you're not sure about with the layout. We are going to go through it now. In practice, I'm just trying to catch up with comments. Ma'am, please post this live so we can watch it again. I will definitely do so. Please give it 30 minutes. And then I'm just reminding you all, I've pinned the comment if you do want to get that free guide with the originality. Let me know. I can also show you a snippet of it. I'm not going to show the whole thing. I know our screenshots work. So if you would like to see it, then send me an email and I can send it through to you all. All right, without further ado, I think we've spent enough time on that. Let's get to the essay. So this is question 5, the Skills Development Act. Outline the role of SETAs in supporting Skills Development Act. So we're looking at the role of SETAs. Okay, before we do that, we need to have introduction. Do you see I didn't write intro? I wrote full introduction. 2 bullets. So can you use this as part of your essay? 100%. If you are struggling with introduction, go to past papers, see what they have written, take it from the marking guidelines. All right. So the SDA enables South Africans to gain access to skills training opportunities that have long-term benefits. The Skills Development Act was introduced to redress imbalances of the past. How do we redress them? By giving them skills development training in skills opportunities. I just want to make mention that they did make a change when it comes to introduction. It's not a big change, but you'll see some bullets. It'll start off with, it enables South Africans to gain access. We need it as full sentences. So just add in there, the Skills Development Act. If here it says, was introduced, if it only starts here, was introduced, right, the Skills Development Act was introduced. They just want to have it as full sentences. So I guess coming back to that, this one can be a bit of in your own words, but please make sure it's factual and they can link it back to the notes in the textbook. All right. Okay, then you see I've got my heading. What's important with the heading is that I take out my action verb. It says your outline, I'm going to take out that. And you can either write the role of SETAs or just like I did, role of SETAs in supporting Skills Development Act. So, like I said before, 4 bullets, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means 2, 4, 6, 8. You have given 8 potential marks for this section. Let's go through it. So the role of a SETA is to promote and establish learnerships. Why? Because they want to improve the skills of their people. They need to collect levies. If you know anything about the Skills Development Act, we need to pay 1% of levies to it. I think it's each month or each year. I know it's 1%. I know I have that 1% stuck in my head. So we need to collect the levies. And because we have levies to collect, we need to then pay out grants as required. Provide accreditation for skills development facilitators, okay? Because if I'm going to train my people, I want to make sure that what the training that they're doing is actually going to help them. Register learnership agreements and learning programs. Okay, then here I've got my originality. So what do markers look at for originality? Look, August 2024. That's a year ago, still relevant. Then I'm going to look, can I research this and find this? Well, I'm telling you, you can, because if you go look for the Sector Skills Plan of 2025 to 2030, you will find it, and it'll say that it shows how the SETAs are aligning their structure with the Skills Development Act mandate to improve skilled workforce. And why did they put out this skills sector plan? Because it's the role of a SETA in order to support Skills Development Act. So according to marking guidelines, this section is going to count 12 marks. All right, let's move on. Check if I have any. Okay, Boitumelo, I struggle with the conclusion and introduction. Can you please explain it more or give more examples? Okay, I will go through it as we go. Okay, don't stress too much, Boitumelo. I got you. We'll go through that. Ma'am, with the intro and conclude, please be careful for your conclude, but I know it's just for comment purposes now. of the essay, should it be 2 sentences max for each? So intro is 2 bullets, 1 mark each, and conclusion is 1 bullet, 2 marks. If that confuses you, I tell learners, if you get confused on how much to write, 2 under intro, 2 under conclusion, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Therefore, if your first conclusion is wrong, we can mark your second conclusion. No issues there. All right, Boitamelo, with that, right? I like this one where it says discuss the impact. Remember we spoke about the impact earlier? So if you're going to discuss the positive impact, you can put the negatives here in your introduction. Are you with me? You can even put, if we're talking recommend ways that businesses can comply, in your intro, you can talk about how businesses, the penalties if they don't comply. So with intro, I forgot to mention this. Intro and conclusion, it needs to be about any 4 of these headings. So you can talk about the role of a SEDA, the purpose of the act, the impact, or the ways to comply in your intro and conclusion. Now, again, we spoke about the impact. If you're going to write about positives, remember there's so many positives and negatives. You can talk about them within the intro. So if we're thinking positives, I just want to quickly find a few here. I'm just working with this off screen. So you can write in the positives. Businesses may claim back some of the cost of training as a refund from the relevant SEDAs. You can put that as an intro. This one says, I just want to stop sharing. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself here. Sometimes I get too excited with it as well. Okay, sorry. Now that everyone can see what I'm talking about. So I've got here the positive impact, right? You can put this under intro, but here's what I was saying. It improves employment opportunities and labor movement. What improves? The Skills Development Act improves employment opportunities and labor movement. There is an intro for you right there. Then you can have improved quality of service delivery. The Skills Development Act improves the quality of product and service delivery as employs more skilled workers. Now, moving on to another section. The purpose. We have only given 4 bullets, for example. You can write any of these others. Now, redresses imbalances, that's not a full sentence. The Skills Development Act redresses imbalances of the past through education and training. The Skills Development Act encourages businesses to improve the skills of their workers. Okay, I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps. So you can use, remember there's so many bullets under them, you can use any of them. The Skills Development Act identifies suitable workplaces for practical work experience. Intro or conclusion. I'm just going to stop sharing there for a second. And I'm going to continue sharing the one that I have. All right. So let's just do comments time. Just a quick second. How many bullet points under each heading? I did explain that, Nana. I would recommend 4 under each heading. Ma'am, it seems that the marking guideline gives split ticks, but what if you write short sentences? So this one might be a little bit, I don't want to discourage you or lead you astray, because that's not what we do here. So in essence, if you give me 8 bullets from my understanding, my opinion, my understanding, not teacher Ilona said, 8 bullets, and they're all half, 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 I'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. According to me, right? If it's 4 bullets, full 2, 4, 6, 8. But please be careful with that. It's a bit of a weird way to do it, but I have had this question before when I was working at a school. Technically, from my understanding, I haven't received this often. But if you're going to give me 8 bullets and they're all half, I have to mark it until I get to the end, until I've marked everything. But remember, it's only with split marks. The one we have now is 2 marks at the end. So your outline and recommend are normally 2 marks at the end. Your explain and discuss, the ones in the middle, are normally split marks. It is an example, not a rule of thumb. All right. Okay, hope everyone's still enjoying themselves and we're all still learning something here. I must say, just on my opinion, I'm enjoying this live quite a lot. I'm actually enjoying going live. This is my second time. Shame, Great House. Maybe I should have started with you, but I thought maybe if there's any errors, I'll start with the grade 11s, and seems to be going really well. So I'm loving those hearts. Thank you so much. That gives me a good indication that we are doing well here. So thank you, guys. All right, moving on. So just with this, 8 marks, max is 12. What does that mean? I will mark this until I receive 8 marks. That is the most I can give for this heading, is 12 marks. So you gave me 8, that's fine. But if you wrote more, that's why I say if you know more, write more. Okay, I'm going to explain this max 12 at the end of this essay. Then, next one, where we explain the purpose of the Skills Development Act. Purpose of the Skills Development Act. You see how I took away the action verb. So, 4 bullets again. Do you see here that there are split marking? Develops the skills of people in South Africa in order to improve productivity. That is the purpose. We want to improve the productivity, so we need to develop your skills. How do we do that? We encourage businesses to improve the skills of their workers. And we do this by investing in education and training of South African workforce. Improves the chances of getting a job for the previously disadvantaged people. Then, originality, you only need 2. So I've given you one under each heading so that you're welcome to grab these for free and use them. So I've given you one under each. Remember, if you put one under each and 2 of them are wrong, I can still mark your other 2. So it actually doesn't matter how many examples you give. There's no max, but I will max it at 2. I do appreciate all those reactions coming through. Thank you for that. I'm just checking something quickly. If I missed a comment, because I feel that I missed a comment when it comes to originality. And maybe it's getting late and I need to go sleep. I'm not too sure. But it's not getting late. I don't need to go sleep. Ma'am, how do we insert a current example? So, Tashika, you would insert it the way I've done it here. I've done it in a different color just so it's clear for learners. So while I'm going through a slide, you can see it. But you can just write example typically at the end of your heading. So you're going to write your bullets and then you'll write your example with your originality example. You can even write originality next to it if you want to. I would suggest just writing example there. So, purpose of Skills Development Act, the National Skills Fund Strategy Plan of 2025 and 2030, published in March 2025, underlines how the Act underpins initiatives to reduce youth unemployment and improve employability in South Africa. I see I'm cutting it a little bit there. I apologize, and I'm cutting it a little bit short. So, again, do you see the time frame? And again, you can go research the National Skills Fund. Now, I've used it in both, but do you see the difference? Here, I'm explaining that this skills sector plan, this is a National Skills Fund, it's fine. The skills sector plan by the SEDA shows how the SEDA aligns the structure with the skills development. This one is saying the National Skills Fund strategic plan underlines how the purpose of the act, underpins initiatives to reduce youth unemployment and improve employability in South Africa. All right. All right, so let me just go through that quickly. Ma'am, if I rewrite the points as my heading, will I still get a mark for my heading? What do you mean exactly by rewriting the points as your heading? Do you mean you're writing one of these points as the heading? If you do that, then you are losing marks for your analysis because it's going to show me that you don't have the 4 headings. So you have to have written out, these are your 4 headings. The role of the SETAs, the purpose of skills, the impact of skills, and ways in which businesses. You need to have those 4 headings. Then, ma'am, if I need to go now, if I work through your guide, will I learn everything I will miss by leaving now? The guide is a little bit different, but Dane, like I said, you can go watch the live when it is uploaded later. So whatever you miss from here, you can go watch it live. What I've tried to do to add a bit more impact is here I've got your originality examples. In the guide, I have completely different ones. So you're actually getting originality in this session, and then the free guide has other ones, and then I have a paid guide for 80 Rand as well. Phew, there's a lot going on in Teacher Ilona's world right now, to be honest. Which country, ma'am? What do you mean, which country? Which country am I from? I'm from South Africa. I think we're all from here. If we're all speaking the same language and I understand your message correctly. All right, so then here we've given 8 marks. What is the max? The max is 10. So if you wrote another bullet, you would have gotten 10 max. And what markers do is we mark them and then we write max next to it. And then again, do you see the marks are together there and the marks are split here? Okay, now we're going to do the last two, discuss the impact of Skills Development Act on businesses. Again, here is the heading, and I don't want to be a broken record, but the impact, it doesn't say positive or negative, so you can either give positive or negative, or you can give both. But my advice would be don't write whether it's positive or negative, because then it basically makes it that the marker, sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's maybe a bit painful because I know I've had to mark papers and I have to go through this. It tells the marker I have to check through positive and negative to see your answers. Because if you write positive and these are not the positives, you will get it all wrong, which is really sad. Like let's not do that. Yeah, class of 2025, I think, goodness, sorry, I'm touching the mouse pad and I'm busy giving stuff away here. All right, so increases the number of skilled employees in areas where the skills are scarce. Okay, that is a positive, just by the way. So increasing number of skilled employees. We are training employees to be more productive. Self-employment and entrepreneurship is promoted, and it improves employment opportunities and labor movements. Originality. In April 2024, an analysis on the skills landscape noted how business compliance with training programs under the Act is increasingly viewed as a competitive advantage in South Africa. So because we have this Act and we now are complying, we're making businesses compliant, it is actually creating a competitive advantage for us. It's actually good for us. Okay, max there is 12 marks. Okay, Dan, you are almost welcome. No problem. Okay, Boitamelo, no, ma'am. I mean, like the points, like the question example. Explain the purpose of the skills. Oh, no. If you leave the action verb there, you won't lose marks. No, you won't lose marks for that at all. Thank you for the reactions. I do appreciate that. I see all the reactions coming through. Just by the way, the more you guys comment and react, it actually pushes my video. So more people view it and therefore we can help more people, because that's exactly why I started my channel all those years ago. Then we have recommend ways in which businesses can comply with the Act. And I've somewhere added the conclusion there. Ways in which businesses can comply with Skills Development Act. We can provide all employees with the opportunity to improve their skills. And then ma'am has added the same one there. So I would lose the marks for there. Okay, just putting it out there. And a marker would write there, repeat. I apologize for that. Businesses and employers who collect PAYE should register with the relevant SEDA. And then the 1% I spoke about, 1% of employers' payroll must be paid over to the SEDA through SARS specifically. Then, originality. The ETDP, you can just write the SEDA's plan, 2025 to 2030, shows how businesses can cooperate with SEDAs to submit workplace skills plans and receive grants. Because remember, I know it was like earlier in this video, we explained how we collect levies and then we pay out grants. So we need to submit a workplace skills plan to say, these are employees, they need skills on A, B, and C. Then max marks is 12 there. Conclusion, 1 bullet. You can do 2 if you want to. Now, here's 2 marks at the end, so split marking does not count for this one. Businesses are encouraged to comply with this act in order to avoid penalties and increase financial burden on the business. That is a nice conclusion there. Okay, comments time just for a second before I move on. Is it compulsory to write the source we got the information from? So that is a difficult one because I think if I'm not mistaken, we're still working towards it. So I don't think it'll affect the grade 12s of this year, but I know they did typically say you must try and include the source. If you can remember it, great. If you can't, then it's fine. My advice would be look at the company name. So here we're dealing with SEDA, so it's not a company, but I mentioned the SEDA, I mentioned the year, even here, it was when? In April 2024, and then I said, how does this, so if you look at here, we're talking about ways in which we can comply, and here we're talking about we cooperate, because if you're going to cooperate, you are complying, right? We're cooperating with SEDAs by submitting our workplace skills plan, and that's why I've put it under this heading. Why this one is here is because we're talking about the impact. The impact is we have a competitive advantage because businesses are complying. Can I put this one under here as well? Yes, you can. So just note that with originality, where you put your example has to fit with that heading that you're putting it with. This one as well. And if we're going back to this one as well. This one fits with this heading because we're talking about them publishing a skills plan. And this one, we are talking about them saying, how does the act bring initiatives to the youth? Okay, and like I said, 12 marks there. All right, just quickly change my position and just getting a little bit more juice. Okay, so we're coming back to the structure. So, like I said, we have introduction, 2 bullets, heading, 4 headings. 1 bullet under conclusion. I've just put FLASO there so we don't forget FLASO. Then, this is the breakdown of mark allocations. So, introduction is going to be a max of 2 marks. 1 mark, 1 mark. Conclusion, 2 marks. 2 marks for 1 bullet. Role of SEDAs is 12 marks. 10 marks, 12 marks, 12 marks, which maxes 32 for all of this. Then I've explained the layout, analysis, synthesis, and originality. 2 marks each gets us 8 marks, which gets us a total of 40 marks. So, with the essay we have just drawn up, I'm going to show you here how the marks are separated and how I have worked that out. It was Jared that had the question, if I'm not mistaken, with how do you get 38 marks? I'm struggling to find it. Jared, if you are still here, that would be really great. I'm going to explain now the allocation of marks. So this is the breakdown. This is what we wrote. So we're getting 2 marks for introduction because we did well. We are getting 2 facts per bullet, right? Or 2 marks per bullet for 4 bullets, which gives us 8 marks for this heading. And 1 mark for originality. I'm going to go a bit quicker here because that's the same thing with our originality. I stop at originality here because why? We only need 2. Then same thing, 2 marks. If you count all of this up together, you are going to get 36 marks, right? This 36 marks I max at 32. So it means I've already given more than what was required. But if we take these marks here and add them, so I've only added the 12, 10, 12, and 12. Oh, I forgot to put it there. I've also added the 2 and the 2. It gives us 50 marks. So if your teacher is going to mark max, 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 you're going to get 50 marks, and we're going to max it at 32. So with this marking guideline, it actually gives allowance for you to write more, but still receive your 32 marks. And that's why I'm saying with the layout and structure, I would advise doing 4 bullets for each heading, because then you get 8 marks max plus your 2 from conclusion and intro gives you 32 marks, and then we max it at, 36 marks, and we max it at 32. So you should be A-okay away with the structure that I have given. What sources can I go to find originality? My best advice for originality is to look at the heading and to search for that. So I searched role of SEDA's recent news. I did mention that I have a free guide with a few, and I will be making a guide for 80 Rand where I will actually give a lot more that you guys can use, copy and paste in your exam for originality. Can you focus on HR and quality of performance, please? Few learners write question 5. I'm going to get there now. Yes, we are moving on to it right now. Okay. Now we are doing question 6, human resources. So in this question paper for 2024, it did human resources specifically. So we're going to do the essay for human resources. So we're going to outline the selection procedure as a human resources activity, explain the 2 salary determination methods, and then we're going to discuss the impact of fringe benefits. There's our impact again, and advise businesses on the benefits of induction. So we always start with our introduction. So businesses use different salary determination methods to appropriately compensate their employees according to the kind of work done or tasks performed. Where does that tie in? Our 2 salary determination methods. Employees receive fringe benefits, there we go, over and above their normal salaries and wages, which often improves their overall job satisfaction. Right. Then, do you see here, selection procedure? I took out the outline. I also took out as a human resource activity. This is perfectly fine. So, 4 bullets there. Applicants must submit the application forms, CV, and certified copies of personal documents, IDs, and proof of qualifications. 2 marks. So once they receive this documentation, what are they going to do with it? They're going to sort the received documentation according to the selection procedure. Then we are going to compile a shortlist, and then we're going to invite the shortlisted candidates for an interview. Okay, originality there. A 2025 study exploring employee selection procedures in South African organizations found that online competency-based interviews, psychometric assessments, which you have seen in your notes, and reference checks are now common in SA firms. Do you need to write all of these? No. You can write, they found that reference checks are now common in SA firms. And then for here, it was max 12 marks for 8 bullets. Are we all together? Are we all enjoying? Are we all learning something? I truly hope so. Okay. All right. Then we're moving on. Explain 2 salary determination methods. Before we move into that, do you see I've given you a number? Explain 2, which means I'm marking your first 2 only. Only your first 2 that you mention. If your first one is wrong and your second and third one is correct, unfortunately, I mark your first 2 and first 2 only. I'm just pointing that out. It's not nice that they do that in the essay, but it happens. So my heading first, very important. I'm not going to start with piecemeal. I start with my heading, salary determination methods. Piecemeal, 2 marks. Why am I getting marks for that? Because they didn't give it to me. I'm telling them it's piecemeal and time related. You see the first 2 are being marked there. Then I put 2 under each. Okay? And I'll show you the breakdown now. So in piecemeal, workers are paid according to the number of items or units produced, mostly used in factories and particularly in the textile and technology industry. Time related, workers are paid according to the amount of time or hours they spend at work on a task. Many private and public sector businesses use this method. And again, mark the first 2 only. This one was really difficult to find. I'm not going to lie to you, but I was able to find something on it. South Africa's 2025 salary budget planning report shows that inflation concerns drive South Africa's salary budgets. It shows firms are using an external salary benchmarking, which could be time-related or piecemeal, via market surveys to get salary increases. So we are looking, what is everyone benchmarking the salary at? Now, yes, it could be a certain amount, but it could be for piecemeal as well. So for some industries, if you are creating projects or creating a website, for every website you create, you could get paid for that. So that's where the difference comes in. Okay, wow. We are hitting the comments like crazy. I mean, I did tell you to hit the comments like crazy, so I appreciate that. Thank you. But now I've got a little bit of catching up to do. Where are we? Okay, I see a retracted message. I can't answer that. Sorry about that. If you do want to, you can post again. Miss, if I make up my examples and sources, will they be wrong? Yes, they will. Even if the source corresponds with the heading, yes, they will. I've had that example before. I have to be able to unplug my phone from charge, take my phone with my McDonald's stickers on it, take my phone and research your example. If I cannot research it and it's not within the last 2 years, it is wrong. I have had it previously at a school where learners made up examples and shame, I don't want to expose them. But they made up examples about events that had happened. They said that one business had burnt down. And the irony was that business had burnt down in 2018, but it wasn't relevant. And the learner told me that they made it up. You cannot make it up because it's not going to be correct. It is going to be marked wrong because I have to be able to research it. What is the essay prediction? Again, I don't want to keep repeating in this live. Shame, I feel like I'm boring some of those that have been here since the beginning. Thank you to whoever is smashing those hearts like crazy. I really appreciate that. That's really awesome. Thank you so much. That's really cool of you. Essay prediction, I cannot and I will not. It's very difficult and I'm likely to get it wrong. Do the steps in the selection procedure need to be in order? No, they do not. Thank you for that. The steps in the sorry. Maybe now it's getting late. The steps do not need to be in order. And then what is your email? I'm going to type it in the chat again. It is teacher Ilona 20, Y20, because I started in 2020 and we will be in the 20s for the next 2,000 years or something. What are we sitting at? The next 1,000 years. So we'll be in the 20s. So, ma'am, you're really helpful with this presentation for our finals. Yay, I'm so happy to hear that. That is incredible. That makes me very happy. And just a little FYI, I see that you guys have crowns of the ones that have commented the most. I think that's really awesome. Keep on commenting. We have Tashika and Boitamelo who are tied at 150 XP points because you guys can't see it, but we have XP points. And to whoever's smashing that like button, I do appreciate it. I can't see who it is, so maybe expose yourself. Don't gatekeep. Let us know who you are. Okay, moving on. I'm chatting too much. Let's move on. Okay. Oh, right. So then we're going to have your method is 2 marks. So 2 marks there. And then 4 marks explanation. Meaning, if you had written 3, I would mark until I get 4 marks. Same for this one. So this one is a max of 12. But you see how this one is separated and set out differently to the previous essay. Then the impact on fringe benefits. I once again chose the positives. I don't know. It's like I enjoy living on the positive side of life. I don't know. Maybe someone give me clarity why I always choose positive. I don't know. Okay. It's a lot of likes and hundreds, and I appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you guys. So the impact, remember, it can either be positive or negative or a bit of both, but try to refrain from specifically writing the heading because then it's limits you. You have to only write positives under that heading or negative. So if you confuse them, you're going to lose marks. All right, I see I'm cutting the screen a little bit there at the bottom. Apologies for that. So it attracts qualified, skilled, experienced employees who may positively contribute towards the business and goals. So we are attracting, because why are we showing them good fringe benefits? I mean, right now I'm showing good fringe benefits because if no one noticed and if you've been here for a little while, I decided to cut a fringe. Yeah, last time I had a fringe was when I was 15. I'm not going to expose how old I am now, but I have my own fringe benefits. I'm just joking. That's not what we're talking about here. I just know that I made a joke with it in my human resources video, where I said if we're talking fringe benefits, we're not talking about a fringe. We're actually talking about benefits that someone gets, not a fringe. Now, when you think of me, think of the fringe benefits you're getting from this live. Okay, enough of chatter with that. It improves productivity, resulting in higher profitability. It increases employee satisfaction, royalty, as they may be willing to go the extra mile. Why they're going the extra mile? Because we're giving them benefits. And then they know the harder they work, the more benefits they're going to get. Businesses save on money, which might be ironic because you might say, but we're giving them more benefits. How are they saving? Because these benefits are tax deductible. We can actually put them as tax deductible. And this section is for 12 marks, 4 bullets, 8 marks, but I max it at 12. Ma'am, you should do more of these lives for all subjects. It's very helpful. I am very, very, very glad to hear that. Yeah, more subjects, it's very difficult. I'm very qualified in business studies. I love business studies. I have done my degree, my honors, and I'm busy with my master's in business. So yeah, other subjects I don't know. I'm thinking of doing accounting, but I think that's going to be a 2 or 3 year plan because accounting is a little bit intimidating. I did it in college, but it's a little bit intimidating. But my next obvious choice would be, I see the laughing faces, I agree with you. My next obvious choice would probably have to be economics. But yeah, all subjects, I don't want to stretch myself too far because I'm very, very confident with business studies, at least at this stage. Okay, enough chatter. Advise businesses on benefits of induction. We are almost done, and then we can all go eat supper and sleep because I definitely would like to eat supper. The household's already eaten supper without me and probably on their way to sleep. Okay, benefits of induction. I took out the discuss. 4 bullets. Make new employees feel at ease in the workplace because this reduces anxiety. Allows new employees to settle in quickly and work effectively. Ensures that new employees understand rules and restrictions in the business. New employees may feel part of the team, resulting in positive morale and motivation. Because I'm introducing you into the company, right? It's very stressful and very intimidating, scary. So that's why I induct you, I give you an introduction of the workplace. I'm reducing that fear and the anxiety. It allows you to work to settle in quicker because you know where to go, you know what to do, you know who to report to. It also lets you understand the rules and restrictions because it might be you can print, but you can only print at this printer and you can only use black ink and not colorful ink and whatever the case is. And you can only have 2 cups of coffee a day. I'm only joking. That's really not the regulations, depending on where you work. I mean, new employees will feel part of the team. Why? Because I introduce you. I tell you, this is the finance department. Here's the finance team. Here's the sales team. Here's the marketing team, and so on and so on. Then a 2024 and 2025 article developing a formal induction program for newly appointed departmental heads in South Africa shows that structured induction aids retention and quicker productivity. So, aids retention means we're keeping customers. Goodness, sorry, definitely getting late here. We are keeping people. It keeps people in the business. We are then going to have a lower, right? A lower employee turnover rate and quicker productivity. Here we said quickly and work effectively. Right, then max 10 marks. And then we have our conclusion. Attractive fringe benefits encourage employees to work hard towards achieving business goals. Right, 2 marks. You see again, attractive fringe benefits. We're talking about the impact of fringe benefits. Then I'm just going to check the comments again. Ma'am, please do a live for paper 2. I am definitely doing that. Please just remind me when you're writing paper 2. I know I wrote it on the calendar on the fridge. So every time I go to the fridge, trust me, grade 12, I'm thinking of you, your data on my calendar. Thank you for those hearts. Still appreciating it, still liking it. And I say thank you. Okay. And our ma'am put a breakdown for question 5. That was very, very, very silly of me. Give me a sec. I'll quickly fix it off screen. Please don't go anywhere. I'm just quickly making a fix. It was very silly of me that I didn't correct that in time. That I will quickly do a makeshift to my slides, and I will quickly fix that for you all. Not a biggie, not a problem. Just quickly making a quick fix there. 12, 10, 12, 12, and we are back. Okay, awesome. At least I could fix that really quickly. I mean, it's slightly embarrassing, but you know what? We all learn and we grow. So, yeah, here we are. Okay. So, okay, speaking of learning and growing, you know, when ma'am goes and pastes the wrong thing twice, I'm really sorry, guys. I mean, the best I can do right now is just laugh it off, but like this is slightly unprofessional and really embarrassing for me. So, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm sorry about that. I went to go paste the wrong one again. So that is just great. They say if you don't make mistakes, we don't learn, right? So you know what? We're all learning here. You're learning, I'm learning, so we'll just learn together. I guess. So yeah. Fun times. All right. And I can again. Wonderful. Okay, yay. Now that it's corrected. Whoopsies. All right, so here we have 12 marks, 12 marks, 12 marks, 10 marks. Slightly different, not a biggie. So I showed this with the previous one, introduction. I'm just going through this in case someone wants to watch it afterwards and they skip through the first one. So 2 bullets under introduction, 1 mark, 1 mark. Heading, 4 bullets, 2 marks each. This one, remember we had the salary determination method, so you're going to mention it here, and it's 2 bullets, heading 3, heading 4. Conclusion, 1 bullet. So if we do the mark allocation, 2 marks there for intro. So you're writing 2 facts, right? Well, 2 marks per bullet, and you have 4 bullets, which is 8 marks, plus your originality. Then here we have 2 marks per heading. Remember, piecemeal and work time related. And we have 2 headings for 2 marks each, which gives us 4 marks. If my calculate, oh, we have 2 headings. Sorry. I think I should just take a second. I just drink some of my, what I keep calling juice during this live, but it's actually water, but it's actually juice. Okay, so we have 2 marks per heading, and we have 2 headings. So it gives us 4 marks. Then we have 2 bullets per heading, and we have 4 bullets in total. Are you with me? It's 12 marks. I'm sorry if I'm giving you a bit of PTSD from yesterday's paper. I apologize. Okay, 8 marks for that heading because it's the same as that. I put the originality here, although I can mark it here. This just looked a bit messy after a while. And then same thing, and conclusion is 2 marks. Add this all up, we get 36 marks. I mean, I don't think so. I think I'm a bit off there math-wise, but bear with me. So 36 marks, and we're maxing it at 32. If I take all of these plus the conclusion and the introduction, we get 50 marks. So again, we're still giving you that extra allowance. We're still giving you more than what you have actually asked for. All right. So just my little thank you. Thank you for watching. All the best with your exams. I truly mean that. And then here are my 2 resources. And then I did make use of the book and some of the notes as well. You can check those resources there. And it's in the link in the bio as well. Right, without further ado, let's quickly go through some comments. And check where I left off. Please do comment again on the examples that should be used. I just joined the live now. Okay, again, the examples are within the last 2 years. And important, you have to be able to research it. So anything from 2024, anything from 2025 is perfectly fine, but it has to be researchable. You cannot come up with your own. Someone mentioned how we can make a heading named examples before writing the conclusion. Then from that heading, we write all the examples and indicate which heading it refers to. Can I do that? That is an interesting question. I've never really thought about that one before. But yes, I'm sure you can. As long as you make sure it links back correctly, then I don't see an issue with it. I think that is fine. I would personally say write it under each heading, but if it's all there as examples at the bottom, I think that should be good to go. Boy Tamela retracted her message. It's a bit sad. Sorry, there's mosquitoes here. Ma'am, please do one past paper again tomorrow. So Mosa, I was actually thinking about that. I do have meetings tomorrow, but let me see if I can. Let me see if I can. Any past paper specifically that you're thinking of? 23, 22, 21. I would personally not do 2020 because remember that was during COVID. And yeah, that paper was a bit different to the rest. If you're okay, ma'am, I really appreciate that. I did actually see that in time. I just didn't mention on it. We are writing paper 2 on Tuesday next week. Yeah, so busy weekend for me. Thank you, Boitamelo. Appreciate that. So I will do that. Must I use long answer or not? Rather write complete sentences. I mean, you can get split marks, but rather write complete sentences. Thank you. You are most welcome. Thank you, ma'am. You are most welcome. Thank you, miss. It's only a pleasure. I truly appreciate you guys joining today. And I appreciate you guys being here. It really, really is awesome. And yeah, I'd like to see you guys in my live again. And before we go, Tashika and Boitamelo, please send me an email. I will give you a free tutoring session between today and Thursday for an hour for each of you. So one for Tashika and one for Boitamelo, because your crowns are the highest. You're both, I know it says 1 and 2, but you're both on 150 XP. So yes, please don't forget to send me an email so that I can book that for you. That would be really awesome. If anyone else wants to book a session, it's 150 Rand. Send me an email. I'm going to pop my email up again just so you can send me a message, and you're more than welcome to book a tutoring session with me one-on-one, and I will be happy to help you. I mean, short points. So short points are fine. You'll just get half marks for them, but just be careful. If you only write 4 half marks, you only get 4 marks max. Thank you, ma'am. That was really helpful. You are most welcome. We really appreciate you. It's only a pleasure. I do this all for the learners, and I'm glad I could help you, and I'm glad I made it in time to do the slides and to actually do this video today. And don't forget, if you do want to watch this again, the live will be put up afterwards, so to record. I think I'm going to eat supper first. I think I deserve that. It is almost 9 o'clock. I think I can eat supper first. But it'll be processing while I'm eating supper. Anyway, if there isn't any more, I'm going to wait a few minutes and then I'm going to stop the live. But I just want to thank everyone for joining today, and thank you for coming along. I'm really, really glad that I did this live today and I helped you all. And if you learned something, please let me know. I don't want to overcommit, but maybe going live again might be a good idea. This is matric finals after all. Okay, I'm going to give it a few minutes and then I'm going to end the live. Again, just from my side, thank you so much for joining the live today. It really helps me. It helps my channel. It helps with views. And most importantly, it helps. Is 50% a good percentage? Yes, I would say anything from 50% and above is a good percentage. So, yeah. Please don't feel that because learners only get they get 80s and stuff that you are less than that. I didn't even get 80% for matric when I was for business when I was in matric. Ma'am, does my answer have to be long? You can either get your 2 marks or sacrifice your 2 marks. I don't know how to word that differently. If you're going to write short answers, just write more of them. My advice, but try to write as much as you can. But if you are going to write short answers, write more of them so that you can get those marks. I want to keep my 90% average. I think that's excellent for you. Go out there and go show them some fire. Go show business studies on fire. I think that would be really awesome. Thanks for the live, ma'am. It was really helpful. It's only a pleasure. Boitamelo, don't forget to send me a message so that you can book your tutoring session. We only have tomorrow. Even though I joined late, the few essay points were exactly what I needed. So thank you so much. You're most welcome. Just remember, this does get posted afterwards again. So whatever you missed, you can go back and watch. Thank you, ma'am. You are most welcome. Only a pleasure. Okay, I'm going to give it 1 more minute and then I'm going to end the live. So anything you want to say, you can say it now, and then I'm going to end the live and we can all say good night. Not me feeling like I'm on Saturday Night Live at this moment. Okay, I'm just going to give it another minute or two. You mentioned something about the impacts. Please explain again. So with the impacts, remember, we're not asking positive or negative. We're just asking impact. So my advice would be either write just positives or just write negatives or write a combination. But the moment you put the heading positives, in the marking guidelines, I have to mark it as a positive. So if you've written it under the wrong heading, you're going to lose marks for that. So I would suggest write it as positives or negatives, but make sure that you don't write the heading, because then you're going to disadvantage yourself. Tashika, you are most welcome. Again, don't forget to message me with your free tutoring so I can give you that free session. All right, without further ado, when we reach 2 hours 42, which would be 8:42, then I'm going to end the live. So anything you have to say, you can say it now, and then I'm going to say peace. Thank you for those reactions and the smashing of those hearts. I just see hearts coming constantly. I think that's incredible. Thank you so much. For the impact, can I combine the positives and negatives? Yes, you can. Good night, Watermelon. Don't forget to send me a message for your free tutoring. Right, so yes, you can combine the positives and negatives, but remember, if you're going to write a heading, then I'm going to mark it as either positive or I'm going to mark it as either negative. I am back. How would someone come up with the original examples for the essay? I imagine it would be hard to come up with an example that references a paper during the exam. So it is difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very difficult. My best advice would be try and get examples per chapter, because it's easy for you to kind of wangle in and tie it back into that chapter. So try and find, I don't know, 5, 6 examples per chapter. And you can use my free guide as well to help you with that. But it is difficult, and that's why learners mostly leave it out, which I can understand. If an essay says discuss the following factors that pose challenges to a business, legal, political, environmental, how many points are needed? So I would say try to work at either 8 or 10 marks per heading. So that heading would be split into 8 or 10 marks. So I would say, let me just work that out quickly. So you said legal, political, and environmental. So 3, 6, 9, 4, 8, 12. Either 3 or 4. 3 or 4 and you should be good. 3 or 4 and you should be good. You are most welcome. Last few questions and then I'm going to end the live. Lekker slaap, juffrou. It's only a pleasure. Lekker slaap for your work. Yes, I can speak Afrikaans as well. How can I get in contact with you for more assistance? My best advice, I don't do the WhatsApp thing. I try and, because my life is so busy, I'm doing my master's, working full time and doing YouTube. I prefer not WhatsApp because I tend to not always answer my phone on WhatsApp, and it's more my personal friends. So I would say email would be your best bet. You can send me a message on email. You can send me a message on Instagram. On Teacher Ilona. I also have a Facebook and a TikTok. So a message on either of those will definitely be fine. And I do have the tutoring as well. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodnight. I gave you 2 extra minutes. So I am going to say goodnight. If there is anything, please don't forget, send me an email. I'll put it in the chat once more for that guide. the free guide, and any questions that you may have. Ma'am, I really appreciate all that you do for us. It is only a pleasure. You are most welcome. What do we write on introduction? Okay, I did discuss that within the live. So my advice would be to watch the live afterwards. But in introduction, you're basically going to write it about the 4 headings that you're going to talk about. So my best advice would be to watch the live again and then to see when I explain that section in detail. All right, without further ado, I'm going to say peace and good night. And I wish you guys all the very best of luck with studies. And thank you again for joining the live today and for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. And bye for now. I'll see you guys in the next one.